So we've got Dipa and Aneesha on the line,
Yep.
and we're talking about desiFEST and classical dancing and all good stuff. So thank you for participating in desiFEST 2017.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us.
So Dipa, I think you reached out to us and you said, "Hey, I'm interested in dancing if there's an opportunity." Correct?
That's right.
Okay. So why don't we start with that? So what is it about desiFEST that caught your attention? And us being a music showcase, obviously you reached out because you're a classical dancer. Tell me a little bit about your dance and music and sort of where all of us sort of fit in your eyes.
Yeah, for sure. So the reason why I reached out to desiFEST in the first place is because I know the audience is more so a younger audience. And my goal, ever since I was a teenager, is to really promote Indian classical dance. So I know a lot of people, they learn the modern dance, they learn Bollywood, but I also really want to promote the classical Indian dance form. So I thought this was going to be a great platform to do that. At the same time, I really enjoy choreographing to modern music as well, to Bollywood music, but in a more kind of classical sense. So that's the reason why I reached out to you. And so I kind of answered the question about where I find myself in terms of dance. So classical Indian dance is actually my forte. I've been learning the North Indian style called Kathak since I was 6 years old. And so what I want to do in the future is to, hopefully ask parents to enroll their children in classical Indian dance and at the same time promote Indian culture and basically tell everyone that there is no limits in terms of choreography, there's no limits in the field of arts. If you're a classical Indian dancer, you can definitely collaborate with other artists and just create something wonderful and unique. And this is the reason why I'm actually collaborating with Aneesha in this year's desiFEST. We're kind of actually going to be doing the concept is modern versus classical. So at the end, we're actually going to with a jugalbandi, so that way people can see that if you're a classical Indian dancer, you can still be able to create something unique, and that's what we're trying to do this coming desiFEST.
That's interesting. I got so many questions on that now. Let's talk about Aneesha. So why don't you give us an overview into your dance background?
So I'm trained in Bharatanatyam, but I also am trained in more of the modern styles of dance, which is contemporary, ballet, hip-hop, jazz. So I've trained in those modern styles. So that's why I think, when we thought of this concept and Dipa spoke with me, we wanted to kind of collaborate and bring that whole idea together, because I kind of wanted to show how, you can have a classical background and with the modern influence, you can create something unique and blend it all together to create more of a fusion piece. So I think that's where kind of my dance background comes from. And I always wanted to be able to promote South Asian dance and show how it combines with other forms of dance. So that's why I was always interested in doing more fusion. And
Right.
I always wanted to kind of promote the whole idea of dance.
So Dipa started around 6. What about you? How early was dancing?
I did my first stage show when I was 2.5 years old.
Whoa.
So
Jeez.
I started dancing.
She's a pro.
Yeah. But yeah, I started really young. So I've been dancing for a very long time. I'm a student right now, so I think I just love dance. I've always been in the dance field, in the performing arts field, and I have this whole passion for dance and music. So that's why I've always tried to kind of bring that in.
So one of the things that I'm extremely intrigued about is parents who encourage kids in our community to go into arts, right? Mine hated the fact. In fact, they tried to make sure I got the music and arts out of me as often as possible. Part of it is, it's the new immigrant mindset. You come to a new country and you want your kids to really focus on academic and education so they can get a good job and sort of they sort of become, needle focus on academia versus all the other things that, our culture brings to the table. So with you guys being so young, tell me a little bit about the support network, especially when you're 2.5 and your parent says, I'm going to put you into Bharatanatyam or Kathak. Tell me about, the foundation.
I think for me, like, my parents have always been a huge support for dance. And, like, I'm a student at McMaster University, and actually in the future, I want to go into medicine. So I'm someone.
Okay.
Yes, I want to become a doctor. So I've always been that person who wanted to show that, performance arts has a huge role in medicine, and I kind of wanted to be able to combine those two things. And, like you said before, there's a lot of people in the South Asian background or other communities that will say, oh, performance arts is just something different, but I kind of wanted to show that, you can blend them together. You can still be a doctor and a dancer, and I always joke with people that I want to be the dancing doctor.
Nice. Okay. You need to hang out with my daughter. I'm like, you can do both, Layla. She's like, no, I just want to be dancing. I'm like, no, you can do both. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think I always kind of believed in that I just love the whole idea of being a doctor and being in medicine, but I also love dance so much. And I think that's why, like, you emailed you earlier about that dance therapy thing, like showing people that you can combine performance arts with medicine, with other fields. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's why my parents were always kind of like, okay, go for it. Like, go do dance, do it, show people that there's so many other opportunities out there.
And what about you, Dipa? At 6, your mom is like, okay, your dad is like, we're gonna introduce you to Kathak. Were you like, nah, let me try it? Like, how did that come about?
Well, before I was 6, so when I was about like 4 or 5, I used to just watch Bollywood songs a lot and just copy their moves. My mom would take home videos, and she just saw that interest in me. And my mom's a huge fan of just Indian classical music and dance. So she's like, I'm going to roll my daughter, but I'm going to roll her, like, have her in, like, classical Indian dance classes. So it could have been Bharatanatyam, could have been Kathak. So she found my first dance teacher. So she was close. So it was a Kathak. She was basically taking students to Kathak lessons. So that's how I started. And by the time I was a teenager, I just loved it. Like, it was, I think, everyone says there's a purpose in their lives, why they were born. And I think I was born to do this. It's so random.
Wow.
Because I'm born in the States. I grew up in Canada. I've never learned, like, I never went to India to take lessons. So, I just feel that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Now, are both of you born in Canada, or did you migrate here?
So I came here when I was like 3 years old.
Okay. And where did you come from?
I'm from England.
Oh, from England, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, and then your parents are originally from north, south. Where are they from?
From east of India, I guess, because I'm from Kolkata.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I was born in Chennai, and then we moved to.
I've been to Chennai. I heard you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you my India story in a bit. But yeah, I was born in Chennai, and then we left Chennai when I was 4, and then I remember most of my starts in Singapore. And that's where I grew up. And then we came to Canada right around like 1989, 90-ish. And so I spent a good chunk of time in Canada. But when I talk about my roots, I remember all of my memories are really in Singapore. I remember very little about India. And the few times that I did go back, I literally felt like a tourist. Like I never really fit in. Just,
you probably don't remember.
I didn't. Yeah, and we've got a huge family there, but man, I never had that Julia Roberts eat, pray, love moment. Like I didn't, I kind of was like, give it to me, India, and then it didn't happen. I was like, okay, I'm going back to Scarborough. But what about you, Dipa? Were you born here? Were you somewhere else?
I was born in the States, so I was actually born in New York. My parents, and so I was, a New Yorker. So then when I was 6. Actually, I was in New York, then I was in Florida for a year, and then when I was 6 years old, my parents came to Canada, so in Toronto, and then I've been here ever since then.
So coming from non-Indian, background in terms of growing up, and then sort of being, did you feel any, not pressure is the wrong word, but I'm trying to get a sense of like, what was it like growing up where in a multicultural environment, like on the weekends you're going to, Kathak or Bharatanatyam classes where, where non-Indian kids weren't doing that, right? Like, so what was that like when at that early age you're already committing to a cultural event in your life?
I think I don't know, because I'm Bengali, you're Bengali as well. And I think the Bengali community itself is very cultural.
Very, very cultural.
And they have a lot of cultural events and everything around here. So even if you're going and taking Bharatanatyam classes or modern classes like I did, or you're taking Kathak classes, I think when you come back and you're doing all these community shows with your community, that's where that whole experience kind of comes.
Yeah, and the funny thing is even when we're actually doing these shows, you'll see that not just our parents, we'll see family friends or people that we don't even know that are in the audience. They'll come and encourage us, and they're just so happy that we're keeping our culture alive, even though we're in Canada. We were born here with kind of no experience, going to India and taking lessons. So because of that encouragement, I think that kept us going. I don't know about you, Aneesha.
I definitely think there's so much encouragement from the Bengali community itself for the cultural arts, for the performing arts, that really encourages you to kind of say, you want to get more involved.
Exactly.
And you feel you still belong in that whole thing, even if you didn't go to India and take classes.
Well, one of the things that we've always talked about at desiFEST is the importance of a foundation. And whether it's your friends network, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your community, without that foundation to support us, we can't sustain long enough to see benefits, right? We're 11 years old, but for the first 6 years, the impact wasn't really there until people really started to rally around desiFEST and what we're trying to do, and the artists started to rally around. And then the last 3-4 years has been, magical, seeing all the collaboration and sort of impact that comes out of it. But for you guys, looking at dance, it's not like, learning the drums, or it's not like, vocal training. So much of your body and mind and soul goes into this dedicated, 10, 15, 20 years, and you're still a student after all that time. What is it about, specific to Kathak or Bharatanatyam or dance in general that have you committing so much of your life to it?
I think for me, it's when I dance, I just feel like it's heaven on earth, even though, so Aneesha's a student, I actually work full time, so we're very busy in our lives, but that, say, 1 hour, 2 hours that we put into dance, it just feels so good. It's kind of spiritual, but it's like I said, it feels like it's heaven on earth. It's that 1 or 2 hours is it makes us feel like we're doing something we're enjoying. I think because we enjoy it so much, or maybe it's the music. For me, pure Kathak is my favorite dance form. When I hear the tabla beats, my body just wants to dance. Just something so pure.
I know. I think for me too. For me, I think it's dance is such a way of expressing yourself. Yeah. So I feel even if I have so much stress with projects and tests or something, in the end of the day, when I'm dancing, I just enjoy it. I go for, obviously I'm training for when I go for dance training, even if it's hours of workouts, hours of just doing one thing in ballet, you still enjoy it, because at the end of the day, it's just that moment where you're doing the stress release. I love contemporary dance, so when I'm doing modern contemporary dance or anything like that, I really feel I can just take all that stress out and just express myself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's also good exercise.
It is definitely good.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So let's talk about dance therapy for a second, because I am intrigued to understand sort of where that came from and what is the sort of impact you're trying to get across.
So with me, I think I was saying before, I always wanted to show a connection between my whole passion for dance, but also my desire to become a doctor. So once, when I met one of my professors for the first time, I kind of told her, I said, I'm a dancer and I want to do something more to show the community that dance and music itself has a bigger purpose than just on the stage or performing something like that. So that's when I kind of got together with a group of doctors who were also interested in the same cause, and we started a program. And what I do now is I do dance therapy and movement therapy with Alzheimer and dementia patients, and I'm also a drummer. So I do therapeutic drumming with Alzheimer and dementia patients. So I think that's where it kind of all started from, like the whole idea of using the performance arts to kind of get people to move, to develop their cognitive abilities, to develop their memory, to help with things like depression. So that's where it all kind of started, the dance therapy.
Huh. And how long have you guys tried it? Any interesting stories you've seen from people experiencing it?
So, I mean, there's this particular old age home in Hamilton. It's called the St. Peter's. And so I've worked with them for like about a year now. And I work with the McMaster Children's Hospital as well for a year. And what I've seen from them is, like, when I first started with some of the seniors and the groups that I was working with, they were depressed or they were not talking as much. But over like even a period of a 1 hour drumming session or a dance session, I've seen those people change. I've seen smiles on their faces. I've seen seniors like who would not communicate with anyone actually come and give someone a hug. So I think and the first time I did that and I saw that impact over like a couple of months, I think I realized that this is something really valuable and we need to create more public awareness about this. So
making a difference.
Yeah, definitely making a difference in the world through performance arts.
How big is the dance community within Toronto or maybe Canada in general? And are you guys seeing more and more parents are looking to it now that the first wave of what I call my parents, the classical immigrants, where it was really about get to work, get to school, and then now we've got second generation, third generation. Are you starting to see a bit more of our culture coming around where we're starting to look at it as a bigger picture? Because that same intensity that was in the 80s or 90s is not there.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't know. When I trained with my dance companies that I've danced with, like whether it's Jade or Shamak, like I think I've seen like these parents like who are very keen. I know my parents, my friends' parents, they're like very keen about our dance shows. Sometimes they're even, I think, more excited than we are about a show. They're very excited and they're very supportive. So I think the culture is slowly changing because people are accepting the whole idea more.
Yeah, and I think that like even though we all have busy lives, I think the second generation, I think they still have a connection. Like Aneesha and I, we have a connection towards dance and music. A lot of others, like I've seen a lot of others are also passionate towards the arts as well. And people are passionate, they are really passionate, and that's what I feel. And then once you see other people perform or you see them do something unique or collaborate, you'll see that other people get encouraged, right, in the audience, and then you'll kind of see the trend going, and they'll enroll themselves in whichever dance form that they're interested in. So I think the culture, I think everyone is involved in the Indian culture or the arts itself. But we definitely want it to grow.
Yeah, I think it's like a little bit of a domino effect. Kind of, someone else sees that.
I want to do that. Yeah.
Right. Do you think the new trend, maybe not a new trend, but the growing trend where we're seeing tons of dance mash-up videos on YouTube that's mixing Kathak and Bharatanatyam and hip-hop and EDM, how do you think that's helping the cause?
I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, like I said before, the arts, I think art should have no limits. You don't have to do pure classical. You don't have to do contemporary only. You can collaborate and, mix things up. And, you go on YouTube and you see so many talented artists there just collaborating. They're, creating something new and unique. I think it's fine. I do it. I think for our performance that's coming up, you'll actually see, we start off with very classical, but at the end you'll see that we picked some very modern or very recent Bollywood songs and we're mixing it up with classical and modern dance movements. So I think it's fine.
I know. I think same here. I think it's fine because I definitely do it myself. Yeah. I think in the performance at desiFEST I'll kind of see that, because in one of my performances I am mixing kind of like two different dance forms together. I like it. Like I like doing that.
Otherwise it gets boring.
Yeah, I think
it's nice
when you blend unique things together and show people the different perspectives of how we're they're different ideas, but they can still come together.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, we're all for the same thing.
Yeah, we're in kind of that era, I think, where people are doing
mashup.
Mashup.
Now, continuing this idea of this remix culture. So my sister studied Bharatanatyam for a few years, and so I got into it. I'm a big classical music fan, and then I discovered Kathak through somebody who performed on our stage like 10 years ago, and I was like, this is so cool. But I'm starting to notice now more and more, again, looking online, YouTube being my only real research tool, a lot more male dancers coming into this. I've seen, Kathak dancers, not only male dancers, but also, non-South Asian dancers. So how are you sort of, why is it happening, first of all? And how are we embracing it?
Why is it happening?
Well, with the whole male dances, right? And
and also non-South Asians now coming in, and one of the things, to set some context, one of the things we look for at desiFEST is not only South Asian artists, but also artists making really good South Asian inspired music. So when we book like an Anita Lerche, for example, she is tall and blonde and blue eyed and sings in fluent Punjabi. Right, and she's a big hit both in India and Punjab and also here. But here's somebody who actually didn't just like remember the lines and lip sync. She actually went to Punjab, studied with some musical directors, learned the language, and invested in sort of learning about the culture some more. And so we were like, okay, this is awesome, come perform. But as you start to see non-South Asians travel to India, spend time learning Kathak or Bharatanatyam or any of that, is it just signs of a great sort of multicultural universe we're moving into? Like, what are you thinking?
I mean,
I definitely think so, because I work for an insurance company, so I actually recently met an advisor, and he's in his 60s or 70s, and he's not Indian. He actually goes to India maybe once a year to learn Bharatanatyam. So
wow.
I mean, I think he's a great example, and so I do definitely see people around me who are not Indian, but they're still, embracing the Indian culture. And I think that's because the arts is such a universal thing. There's no boundaries. It doesn't matter, where you're from, what your background is. I mean, we could be doing, we don't have to be doing an Indian dance form. We can, I'm not. I mean, Aneesha's definitely not doing an Indian dance form. Like, she is a little bit, like, for a performance, but it's like I said, it's something universal, and I think
amazing.
You just love it, right?
I think, there's a saying, like, I think that people say, like, music has no language.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Art has no language.
No.
And there's no boundaries. There's globalization, like, happening everywhere. So even in the arts, you kind of have that. Like, YouTube, like you said, your main search engine, your research engine. That's, like, I think the main place. Like, everyone's coming together. People are getting to see each other. They're getting inspired, and I think that's a really good thing. Like, that's an amazing thing. And I think because we live in Canada, we see so many cultures around us. So if we go to different festivals where people are performing, Indian, they could be performing, Russian. Like, there's so many different cultures out there, and you encounter so many people with different backgrounds that we're all one. Like even in our dance, we have people from 10 different cultures working together. Yeah. Because they're bringing us all together, so it's really interesting.
So let's give the listening parent or the young person a starting point. So if I want to get Layla into classical dancing or contemporary, where do they start? It's not like you just go online and Google and people and figure out who's the right teacher, right? Because there's so many different. So where does somebody start?
Actually, I feel like sometimes, like, you have all these shows happening, so you'll see someone there. You have different dance companies performing at different events, and it's really, I think, if you word of mouth. Yeah. But I really believe, like, because I know I've done choreography with a lot of young children and stuff. I always say to, like, people my age, like teenagers, or like I'll say to young people that make sure you feel a connection with that dance. Yeah. and only then pursue that dance. Because if you have a passion for that, like then you'll kind of pursue it. And if you
That's great advice.
Events, and you like it, and you feel that that's your passion, and your parents, then you kind of just reach out to your parents. I guess your parents connect with you, I guess, and you just go from there. Because I think you have to be passionate about the form that you're learning.
Absolutely. And if you don't know the language, can you still learn the dance?
Absolutely.
I think so.
100%.
I'm actually.
Thank God.
one of my next few projects that I'm thinking about is to actually choreograph a song that I don't know, like a language that I don't know, like Telugu, Tamil. Like I just done it. Yeah. I think it's so cool, to be honest, and just Googling like maybe the translations and, of course, again, like doing something creative.
I know, like I love doing Bhangra, and I don't speak Punjabi, but I love dancing to Bhangra music, or like I've done Afro jazz, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think you really need to know the language, as long as you can feel the rhythm, you can feel what the dance is about, like the song is about. You can just go for it.
Yeah, definitely know what the song.
It's fun. I'm so glad you guys said it, because one of the secrets that most people don't know, and I've been a lot more open about it in the last couple of years, is I only speak English and a bit of broken Tamil. And over the last 10 years, 99% of the content we book on stage, I have no idea what they're saying. And we got a great team that listens to the song and sort of makes sure, we're not being too political or things like that. But generally, for the last 10 years, I've programmed the show based on how I feel when I listen to somebody's music, right? And it's only this year where we've got at least, I think, 6 or 5 different acts that are all Tamil focused. But prior to that, I wouldn't really know what's going on my stage. So when somebody's like, send me a demo, or what'd you think of my performance? I'm like, it sounded great. I don't know what you said.
Know what it means.
Felt good. But it felt really good, which I think is an interesting challenge, because when I look at my own kids, we don't speak Tamil at home. My wife is Muslim. I'm Hindu. She speaks English. And so we're like, are these kids going to be denied a cultural experience because they don't know the language, so they can't feel it? Like, if you truly, I've got people that come up to me and say, hey, I'm going to tell you a joke, but it doesn't sound as good in English because it's a Hindi joke or something. And I'm like, I wish I knew the language. But as you're saying, the dance, if you feel it and it moves you, that's the moment.
It honestly, now that you brought that up, one of the dance institutes that I was enrolled in, most of the students there were Guyanese. And, I just felt that, they probably don't understand the language so much, but you can see the passion. Like, they want to learn the language. They want to learn the culture, but they're doing an outstanding job regardless of, they don't speak it at home. They don't speak Hindi at home. They don't speak Bengali at home, but they're still continuing to keep the culture up because they genuinely enjoy it.
Absolutely. Like I did a dance performance at school, and we had people who were from Ukrainian background. Yeah. I mean, I myself don't even speak Tamil, but we enjoyed it. We loved the rhythm, the beat, and we had an awesome time.
Beauty of music.
Exactly, that's the beauty of music.
That's amazing, man. I love what you guys are doing. Love the energy. As we close up this conversation, share a little bit about anything that you're working on independently, so that we could, create some awareness of what's coming up after desiFEST, and sort of, what projects you guys are working on.
Yeah, so I mean, I am actually thinking about starting to teach dance, to teach beginners Kathak. So I've taught before, but not pure Kathak. So because that's something I'm passionate about, starting this fall, hopefully this October, I do want to start giving out lessons to anybody who would like to embrace this dance form. So that's one of my projects that's coming up. And the other thing that I'm thinking about doing is hopefully shooting a dance cover. Like I mentioned, even though pure Kathak is my favorite dance form, I do enjoy choreographing to more modern music or Bollywood tracks. So I haven't actually shot a dance cover, and it seems like that's what people are doing nowadays if you go on YouTube. So I'm like, why not? I can actually do a professional shoot. So I think I'm thinking about it. So those are the two things that I have in mind right now.
I think for me too, the dance cover is definitely a must now. it's something that's a big trend. But I think I wanted to do a dance cover for a while, and I've been thinking of collaborating with a few friends to do different styles, and kind of doing more of a collaboration video, and also definitely focusing on more of that dance therapy aspect, because we're really trying to promote that, create more awareness, and then the usual shows and stuff. Yeah.
And are you also teaching, Aneesha?
Right now, well, actually, I was planning on teaching, but I do have a lot of schoolwork. But I think I would love to teach. I mean, I'm always open to teaching.
Doctor to be.
Yes, Dr. Dancer.
That's incredible.
I would love to teach people to definitely show them that how classical does combine with modern forms. Yeah. So I think I was looking into that as well.
Aneesha does choreograph, though. Like I mentioned before, she teaches a lot of the Bengali kids in our community, and they love her. So technically, she's already a teacher.
Yes,
that's
so
awesome, man.
Do a lot of the choreography in the community, and I'm looking forward to, I think, teaching more. Yeah, for sure.
But for now, we're looking forward to our performance for desiFEST.
Excited for next Saturday to see how.
Me too. I mean, I woke up this morning and I was like, man, any other year, yesterday would have been desiFEST, and the day after is such a low, because you work all year and then this day happens and we're at like the prime, and literally the next day it's all over and we're like, what just happened? But it's a surreal feeling. Like, you'll meet the team. It's an incredible blessing, and also these conversations that I've been having with a few of the artists. It's also brand new, because most of the time we get to book and then, hopefully see some of the performance. And then outside of marketing people, we don't actually get to know them. And this year we wanted to actually have some conversations on who are you people? What makes you do what you do? And even in this conversation, I learned so much about what you guys are doing, and really hats off. It really hats off.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And what we actually both feel is thank you for giving us this wonderful opportunity. Absolutely. We know that desiFEST is there to promote culture, regardless of what the artists are doing on stage, whether it's dance, whether it's music. So we are truly grateful that we received this opportunity.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity, for sure.
Yeah, no, we're all on the same the same path to figure out what we're gonna leave behind one day. So I'm really excited. So let's fast forward to June 3rd. You guys are doing your musical showcase, and there's a bunch of really young people and some older folks and some non-South Asians all sitting in the square watching. What are the few things you want them to take away?
That's an interesting question.
I think that they can take away the fact that, like, again, you can do any collaboration with any artist and make it look good on stage. So I think what the audience is going to experience on June 3rd at 1 p.m. is they're going to see a little bit of classical at the beginning, then they're going to see a little bit of semi-classical with some modern dance movements, and then they'll see that you can do a nice jugalbandi between the two dance forms. So I think the classical bit, I think the older audience will actually relate to, because I picked a few older songs. So they'll see that, and they'll also see the more recent songs, which more of the younger generation will relate to.
I think for the audience, we have a little bit of a mix of everything to kind of reach out to the entire group of audience. For the older ones, the younger ones, a little bit for everyone. We have a little bit for everyone, and like Dipa said, we really want to show how you can mix classical dance forms with modern dance forms, and how everything comes together really nicely.
As one.
So that was Dipa and Aneesha dancing on June 3rd. And as always, we're humbled by everybody that joins us on stage every single year. And these two ladies have a phenomenal story and a collaborative style that's going to be much different than anything we've ever seen on stage. And I encourage everybody to come check that out, and also stay and have a discussion with them after. And all the links to get in touch with them are below, so feel free to reach out and get started in whatever it is that you pursue, and hopefully find a purpose through dance and music. This is Satsby, and this is desiFEST 2017. Really exciting, and we're out till the next time.